Hello everyone, very good evening. Welcome to the new sessions of content delivery network. Content delivery. Okay, so or else what I can do, uh, continuous delivery. Okay, so I hope everyone are doing good. So the tools that we are going to discuss in this entire sessions are, so in general, so before I go into the topic and give you the quite a few introduction towards the topic. First, what we are going to learn here, I will try to explain you that, and then we will go ahead into the each and everything. So what is the agenda for today's session is? The agenda for today's session is that you need to understand what we are going to learn, what will be, what you will achieve, okay, by completing the course, okay. Why we need to learn this course, why we need the course, or else why we need this course, like particularly why we need to have this course, okay. And jobs, okay, so what are the jobs that you can now apply after completing the course? Jobs to apply. Okay, and then I will go ahead with the pre-requirements. Any pre-requirements are there? Any pre-requirements are there? What are the pre-requirements to complete this course and the total syllabus of this course? Okay, this concepts that we are going to see today. So that is the primary agenda. Before I start this, let me introduce myself. I mean, I hope a few of you might know about me, and if you might know doesn't know about me, any which ways, let me introduce about myself. Hi everyone, I am Chaitanya. I am having 15 years of experience into the IT industry. Currently, I am working as a DevSecOps engineer in R&D, research and development wing. And when coming to the trainings, I am training the candidates from 2013. So I started my training career as an Microsoft trainer. I trained the candidates on Microsoft servers, and later, so my complete working is into the administration only. So later I moved into the AWS, and then I have moved into the DevOps. Okay, so this is the introduction about myself, and I am having my certifications related to Kubernetes. I'm a certified Kubernetes administrator, and I'm having my related AWS certifications, and I'm a Microsoft certified and Linux certified. These are the certifications that I have right now in my hand. So that's about myself. And I just want to know why you want to learn this course. Not a, so if you are interested, you can talk about that. And one more thing, I just want to give a small thing, that is my sessions will be like two-way of communication. I don't want the sessions to be more and more. It's like it is not like radio kind of interaction. It should be like a mobile phone kind of interaction. One-to-one interaction should be there. So everyone has to be active in my sessions. I don't want the people to be sleepy on my sessions. So this is my primary agenda criteria for the candidates who are attending to my sessions. So yeah, can you please introduce about yourself and what is your work experience and why you want to learn this course? You can start TV Nagarjuna. Is Nagarjuna
I,
is there?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hi.
I myself, Nagarjuna, I'm having 18 plus years of experience in IT. Due to recent organization restructure, my role got revoked. So I'm looking for opportunities. So I found myself that with the current market completely dominated by DevOps with multi-cloud. So whatever I worked, I mean, till last couple of months before, it was not working out for me. With that roles got nowhere. I'm not getting much calls also. So
Yeah.
I understand the problem with my experience. So I just wanted to upgrade my skills to uh, get place into the. I mean, to adapt to the new changes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's fine. What is the IT role that you did up to now? Can I know that?
Principal software engineer in Oracle recently.
Oh, okay.
But, I mean, designation is different, but the work was with the monitoring tool.
Mhm.
One of the monitoring tool.
That's fine. Thanks, Nagarjuna.
Yeah.
Yes, any other person? Babu? VK? Who is this VK?
Yeah, uh, yeah. Hi, Chaitanya. So
Hi.
myself, I have total 7 to 8 year of experience in Java development. Okay. So I just wanted to have some hands-on on DevOps side.
Okay.
So that's why I joined here.
Cool. That's fine. Thanks. What is VK here? Sorry, I missed your name.
Vivek.
Vivek. Okay. Thank you, Vivek. Yeah, Bala. So yeah, Babu, you can
Yeah, hi.
continue. Hi.
Yeah, my name is Babu. I have like a good amount of experience in IT, especially in the SRE and production support areas.
Very good.
But actually, what I do see is when I try to switch a project or switch a role outside, I could see some gaps in the
Mhm.
existing work versus the expectations.
Okay.
So some it's like some people are asking Kubernetes and some people are asking CI/CD, some people are asking all. So even it was the role is like different, maybe call it as SRE or DevOps or support,
Mhm.
but people are commonly asking DevOps tools in addition with the cloud.
Okay. Okay.
So I saw like there are a lot of expectations from I don't know like how many tools we will work once we join,
Mhm.
but mostly they are concentrating on the monitoring, deployment, pipelines. And demand is there on Kubernetes side also.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's like I know
Chaitanya,
Ansible,
like,
but yeah, people are using Terraform
Mhm.
like that.
Okay. Any which ways, we will
so
talk about that. Yeah, Vivek.
yeah, I have the question like, for example, I know some part of AWS and how Jenkins pipelines are created, but
Mhm.
like how means Docker and Kubernetes also work some basic idea, but just wanted to go with this course like in a deep dive, okay,
Mhm.
and wanted to know like how this AI is going to impact this DevOps also. What is the impact of these agentic AIs agents on
Okay.
this side, on the side, and because we know right, agentic AI is quite getting
A.
popular.
Okay. We will talk about that. Just give me a couple of minutes.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
at the end of the session, we'll discuss about all these things. Okay.
And one more thing, like means if you help, like maybe you are going to explain, but the question is
Mm.
like apart from the syllabus, like are you going to cover some projects like end-to-end deployment, right?
That I will explain you. So just hold on. So yeah. So thanks for all. Thanks for your introduction. So we will go ahead into the concepts first, and then we'll go ahead into the agenda, and then we will discuss about the rest of the things. Yeah. Yeah, Paritosh. Am I
Yeah.
spelled your name correctly?
Oh, yeah, it's correct. My name is Paritosh actually.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, I am having 11 years of experience.
Mm-hmm.
So, my story also the same. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I got like laid off last week on 28th
Mm-hmm.
this month. So, mainly like I have like currently working on BSFI domain,
Okay.
so banking finance domain.
Yeah.
So, I am work as a L3 support guy
Mm-hmm.
for the operation to end deployment, everything.
Mm-hmm.
So my organization, like, they started to do this CI/CD pipeline and this automation harness and all those things.
Yeah.
So I feel like my role is somewhat aligned with these all these technology.
Mm-hmm.
So my mind is not working like where to go now, right now.
Okay.
So it's difficult now to get it the job in the current role. So
Mm-hmm.
I work as a senior lead analyst in my current organization.
Okay.
So yeah, so I just want the first session. I just want to understand whether this roadmap, whatever the these tools I have learned it or I will get it job as soon as possible because I need it. So yeah, so that's the thing. So
I
if
totally
you
understand.
Yes, yes. So I worked on the traditional way where we got the build from the dev team and like the whole process migration and end-to-end deployment. We did it. My work generally, like my role is like L3 guy who like technically give the support to the application.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the thing. So I just want to move in some other role so that I think like the AI era, a lot of things are going on. So like the position which I have like this skill sets which secure my at least 15 to 10 years so that I can survive in IT. So that's the
Yeah,
thing.
that's fine. That's fine. I will try to help you on that, what we are going to achieve in this session, so that you will get a clarity about what we are going to work. Okay. So
Yeah.
just
So one more thing, like whatever the pre-requested, like any like prior experience or
no,
for
no,
these
not
tools
required.
and all it is required.
I will
Okay.
tell you. Just
More I
listen
am
to.
looking for like the hands-on whatever the organization which we are working, right? So last time also I have started with the DevOps, like the
Mhm,
same institute I have just cover Sriman classes. So at
mhm.
the time of lockdown, so at that time I have not there are a lot of things are going on in my life, so I just not switched into like DevOps domain. So
No
I am
problem.
familiar with some of the things, but I just need to be like more practical and hands-on.
We'll see. Okay. So first of all, let's focus on this agenda,
Yeah.
and then we will go ahead into the. So you will be given with the time. So what are your expectations? Is the course is about to reach? Why? Because I'm going to explain you each and everything in this
Mhm.
session itself. Okay. So the first one is what you are going to achieve. So the first thing is that you are going to achieve the hands-on. Okay, hands-on on the what I can say, the tools like Terraform, and the second one is Ansible, Docker, Kubernetes, and finally Jenkins. So these are the tools that we are going to work with. Okay, so what are these tools and why we are and why they are going, I mean, on what way they will be helpful for us, that we need to see. So we will see that, but first of all, what you will achieve here is the hands-on experience on all these tools. Okay, and why we need this course. So everyone in the IT industry, knowingly or unknowingly, everyone are into a cycle called as CI/CD. CI/CD. Even you might be a developer, you might be a what I can say delivery manager. Okay, so the application delivery manager or delivery manager. So everyone in the IT industry will be into the into this loop. Okay, CI/CD loop. Yeah, Sambashivram, tell me.
Yeah, hi Chaitanya. Good evening.
Hi,
This
good
is
evening.
Sambhaji.
Hmm.
Is it possible to cover this with the CD part as well, like the Argo CD and something like that?
That we will see.
Yeah,
I will tell you. So
yeah.
first see this, and then at the end of the session, you can ask me all the questions. Okay.
Sure, 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 sure.
Right. So
Thank
why
you.
we need this course in the sense, knowingly or unknowingly, you might be a developer, you might be a testing people, you might be somewhere like a delivery manager, you might be into the system administration. Everyone are in the loop of the CI/CD. So whatever the infinite loop. So what is the DevOps symbol actually? Everyone knows that. Okay. So DevOps, everyone knows that we are into an infinite loop. Okay. So what does this loop symbolizes here? So first of all, let us understand the actual concept of, for example, there are in the world, in the entire world. I'm not talking about the IT. I'm talking about in the entire world. There are only two companies, two types of companies are there. Okay, two types of companies. Either one is IT company and the other one is non-IT. So this is how I am going to differentiate. There's so many people will differentiate in different manner, but in general, there are two companies only. One is the IT company and the other one is the non-IT company. IT companies are the companies which will provide the application, application and support to the non-IT companies. So these non-IT companies will be will be under the medical companies, banking, financial sector, health sector, entertainment sector. If you see in the lockdown, so the IT company might not be that much huge success, but majority number of the companies which are very successful here is the non-IT companies like banking and the medical sectors only became the very popular non-IT companies and revenue generated companies. Okay, I can see in that perspective. So now what happened here is these non-IT companies requires their customers or their clients should not put more effort on doing the things. For example, there is a bank. Okay, so there is a bank, and this bank want to have an internet banking. Now majority number of the IT company projects will be relatable to the banks itself. So they want an application to be developed for their end customers. So now what this banking company will do, so it will approach to an IT company. For example, Polaris IT is there. So it will approach to an IT company, and this IT company, there will be multiple sectors of employees will be there. There will be developers. So there will be developers and there will be operations. Okay. So operations, or else I will call it as an administrators. So now what will happen whenever this non-IT company or the banking sector want to have an application, they will reach out to this company and will tie up with the company to develop the application. So first, in the first phase, what will happen here is, okay, so you will be going with the CI. So that is continuous integration phase it is. So what is this continuous integration? What are the tools that we are going to use in the CI? So the main thing what is going to happen here is, so when the project is approved, so the bank comes to the IT company and talk, and they will have an interaction between the manager, CEO, CFOs. Okay, CEO will be there, CFO will be there, top class managers will be there, president, vice president. Everyone will sit together and talk about what is the requirements. Okay, what are the requirements for this particular non-IT company? What are their expectations? They will collect the expectations. That is what we will call it as requirement gathering or requirement analysis. So once all the requirements has taken and the developer says that it is possible, so to develop the application, then what will happen? There will be a project management. Project management. Come on. Project management will happen. So what is this project management? For doing the project management, we will have certain tools like Jira, or also I will call it as Zoho. So these are a few tools. I mean, I'm taking only 2 tools, but there are quite a few tools that are available for do the project management. What will be happening with these tools in the sense? So when the developers are, there will be so many number of developers will be there in the company. So there will be Java developers, there will be Python developers, .NET developers, and in Java developers also, some of the few developers are assigned with one project. Some of the developers will be working on another project. So here in the project management, whatever the bank that has came, so we will be assigning the developers to develop the application. We will provide the requirements to the developers, and we will ask the developers to develop the application. So we will assign all these developers and whoever are working in that project into this project management application, or else project management tool like Jira or Zoho or any another tool. You can have your custom tools are also available. You can prepare your proprietary tools also. Any which ways, there will be a project management tool which will be assigning the roles for each and every employee. So once the project management or else project roles are assigned, then what will happen? Then they will start creating the or else developing the code. Here you can use the Visual Studio Code or else any IDE. Okay, so Eclipse, any IDE you can use to create the code. Once the code is created or else once the code is developed, so then what you will be doing? You will be managing the code. Why? Because the entire application cannot be created by a single developer, right? So in a company, there will be some hundreds of developers will be there. Among these hundreds of developers, a few developers will be assigned with the project. Now all the developers has to be collaborate with each other. So that's why they are called as collaborators. So all these collaborators will be there. They have to I mean, what I can say, they have to do the collaboration, they have to talk among themselves, and they have to discuss about what is the application that should be developed, how much amount of application is completed, what are the microservices that we have created. Here you heard a new word called as microservices. Okay, what is, I mean, there are so many people who are more experienced than me, you know about the microservices, but any which ways. So I will term like this as a new word itself. So there is a new word called as microservices. So now, how many application, I mean, what is the application, how many microservices are there, what we have to develop, everything will be discussed, and the code will be developed. Once the code is developed, then this code will be pushed into the version control system, that is into the GitHub or Bitbucket or GitLab. Like this, we will be having multiple types of version control systems are available. Subversion is also there. Okay, so we will be using any one of the version control system. So once the code is pushed into the version control system, these are the steps that we are going to do. Once the code is pushed into the version control system, then what will happen here? So there will be a developer, and we are going to push the entire code into the GitHub. So there will be multiple collaborators for this code. Okay. So this is my GitHub, and the code will be stored inside this repository. We will be creating a repository for this project, and the code will be pushed into this repository, and this code can be accessed by the multiple developers, or else I will call them as collaborators. Okay. So now there will be another developer who is going to pull this code, and he is going to make the modifications inside the code, and again he can push the code into the GitHub. Like that, there will be multiple people who are working with the same code. And once the code is completely completed, or else they have written the entire code and the code is successfully pushed into the GitHub, then what will happen? The first phase of the code will be sent to the, first they have to do the testing, unit testing. I mean, the developers itself has to do the unit testing. So whatever the code that we have written is working fine or not. Okay, so simple guys, whenever we are doing some work, okay, so we will be testing that, no, so whether this particular work is properly happening or not. So we are going to do some testing. If you are writing an HTML code, you will be checking out, no, so what is going to happen with this particular code. That is what we call it as unit testing. Whenever the developers are creating an application through the code, they have to do the unit testing. Once the unit testing is completed, then the code is pushed into the version control system, and from there what will happen, this code will be pulled and it has to be tested. Code quality analysis has to be done. Code quality has to be done with the help of some tools like Sonar Cube. Okay, so we will be using the Sonar Cube to do the code quality testing, whether the written code is properly written, or else any duplication of the code is there are any bugs, or else any mistakes are there inside the code. Everything can be done with the help of Sonar Cube. So there will be some rules, patterns will be there, rules will be there. With the help of those rules that are written in Sonar Cube, we can identify the duplication of data. We can identify if there is any bugs inside the data, not complete bugs, but yeah. So the code level, any quality issues are there, any mistakes are there which has been written, any duplication of data is there. So everything can be understood by the Sonar Cube, and it is going to generate a report for us. So these bugs are there, so you have to look after this in the code. So the code is not properly written, so the quality is not there, so that will be given as a report by the Sonar Cube. Once it is done, then the code quality analysis is okay. So then we will be building that application. So the code, whatever the code is there, the code is now can be converted into an artifact. We need to build it. So we will be using some build tools. What are the build tools that we can use? We can use Maven, okay, Maven, Ant, Gradle, somewhere like NPM, Node Package Manager also there. So these are all going to generate the artifacts. Okay, so they will be generating the artifact, and these artifacts can be stored inside the artifact repositories. So there will be Nexus artifacts. So the code is now whatever the humanly written code is there, that code can be converted into an application or into an artifact like jar file or war file. Okay, so like that we can convert the code. Once
minded here, these three are super important in every JSON process. Effect, allow.
Babu. Yeah. So this is what the artifact is all about. Once it is done, then what we can do here is these artifacts are helpful for us to run the application. So we can store these artifacts inside the Nexus, or else there is Harbor. These kinds of tools are available to store the artifacts. In Jenkins also you can store. There is a Jenkins artifact storage is available where you can store the artifacts. Once the artifacts are collected, then what we have to do? We have to run the application where we are going to run this application. So we can run the application inside the infrastructure. Here you will be getting Terraform and all the tools. I will tell you about this. We need to run this application in the development environment, and then the testing people will be there. So this testing people will do the testing of that application. Once the testing is completed, how many bugs are there? What is the current situation of the application? Load testing will be done. So with the help of what I can say, with the help of manual testing or Selenium or automation testing, or else JMeter, they will use some JMeter for the load testing, how much amount of load that application can be handled. So everything will be tested. Once it is tested, then these peoples are going to provide the feedback. So the code is working fine, but this is the feedback. So this feedback is given to the developer, and developer has to work on the feedback, and they have to regenerate the new version of the application. So this is the actual CI process. This is the continuous integration process. Okay. So now inside the continuous integration, we are now into the infrastructure. So that is what we call it as continuous delivery. So whatever the tools that you are going to learn over here, these tools comes under the continuous delivery. So if you see after version control system, we will be going with the code quality analysis, and then artifact generation. I will call it as code build, and then artifact storage, and then running the application. Okay, and testing it. Okay, this will completely comes under the development stage, and finally providing the feedback to the developer. Okay, this will comes under the CI, continuous integration. So once the feedback is given to the developer has to manage the code, or else he has to rewrite the code version. He has to change the version, and a new version of the application has to be generated. Everything will be done under the CI. This is the continuous integration. Continuously it will happen. So developing of the code, using the code quality, converting it into an artifact, testing it, and providing the feedback to the developer. It's a continuous process. And then where this code has to be deployed, where the code has to be running. So the code will be running in the servers. So that is what we call it as continuous delivery, or else continuous deployment, CI/CD. We will be working completely on the CD part. So these tools will comes under the CD part, continuous delivery or continuous deployment process. So Jenkins is a totally CI/CD pipeline tool. We can ignore that, but whatever the 4 tools that we have discussed on the top, all these tools will comes under the CD part. So what will be there inside the CD? Continuous delivery or continuous deployment. So now once the application is created, or else the code is generated, artifact is generated, there are 3 stages. Three stages will be there in every. If the code has to be run, the code can be run in 3 stages. One is the development stage, dev stage. So to test it, and if there are any bugs, so the testing people will submit it back to the developers, and the developers has to reconfigure the entire application, rewrite the code, and again the testing will happen. So this will be done in the development stage. And then there will be UAT, user acceptance testing, or else some companies will call it as staging. Some companies will call it as pre-prod. So like that, there are several names for this stage, UAT staging or pre-prod like that. So now what will happen once the application is completed the development stage? So the testing people who are the internal testing people are there. They say that, okay, so the application is now, I mean, no application is bug free, but the application is working fine. So 99% of the application is clear to go to the production environment. So once they have given the clearance, then the application will be moving into the pre-prod or staging area or user acceptance testing. So there what will happen, the user will check out the application. So they will have the external testing people. Some companies will provide the external testing people. They will test the application code, or else the user has to accept the application. Once user has accepted the application, now the application will go into the production environment. So these are the three stages. Production environment means the end customer access. For example, let me take a banking application like ICICI Bank is there. ICICI Bank, if you see here, we are accessing this application straight away. When I enter the URL, I am able to access this application. Just I'm giving a small example. So this application is available for me, which means I am a customer for the ICICI Bank. So I can log in into my account and I can check out my account details and everything. So as a customer, I am working out. But in the back end, what will happen if this application has to be given for the end customers? They have to go through all these process, CI process and as well as the CD process. Now this application will be running either previously when you go back to some 2005, 2010 up to there. So nobody knows about this DevOps. So the people who are working from 20 years or 18 years of experience. So nobody at that time, we don't know what is this DevOps. We have only one thought process, that is what I can say, C++, Java. If you see any resume that is previously in 2010 or else 2012, so we used to have only the technical knowledge means C++, and Java. We don't have this Docker, Kubernetes. We don't have this what I can say, Python, and Python is there, but not very, very popular. So in every resume, we used to find only these three technical aspects. What is that? C++, and Java. So nobody, even I am from the electrical background. In my resume also, we used to have this C++, and Java. Even I don't know what is development. So that used to be there in previously at the starting like 2000, 2005, 2010 at that particular time. But now it is not like that. So everyone has to have a clear-cut understanding about the technicalities, and then they need to have a hands-on experience on the DevOps. So if you go back like 2010, we don't have this complete DevOps. We used to have the servers. So inside the servers only, we have to run the applications. Okay, so inside the servers only, we have to run the applications. So if you see, from when you are finding the applications in your mobile phone, from when you have converted into the digitalization, now if you see in 2010, if you want to deposit some 10,000 rupees in your bank account, or else if any another customer is there, or else if you have given some amount to your friend, and your friend want to deposit the amount into your bank account, what used to be there in 2010? Can you tell me how your friend can transfer the money to you in 2010? Or else let us say some 2013 or 2012 at that particular point of time.
Manually in the going to bank.
Manually, he has to go to the bank, he has to deposit, he has to stand in the line, he has to write the deposit form, and then he can only transfer the money to you. So very huge process. For that, he has to take at least half a day of leave for his work. So now what happened, within seconds, we are able to transfer the money from one account to the another account. So from 2016, especially when this digitalization has been came into the picture, from 2016 onwards, it has been very, very simple task for everyone to transfer the money from one account to the another account. Within seconds, we are doing that. So now when we coming back to this servers, so now what happened, these servers are there in 2010 also, we have the servers, but these many number of websites are not there. So if you see, if you want to purchase some cloths for the festival, then you can go with Myntra, Ajio, or else Flipkart or Amazon. So back in 2010, we don't have this. We have to go to the nearest store and we have to purchase the clothes. And then if you want to watch a movie, you have to go near to the theater and you have to purchase the tickets. But now we are having Book My Show, District, Paytm, like that. We are having so many applications are available. If you want to travel, you have to go to the travel agency, you have to book a ticket. But right now in your hands, you are having the Red Bus, Abibus, all these applications are there. So why this has happened? Because of the digitalization. Everything has been, the applications are running inside the servers. No, actually the applications are not running inside the servers. So the applications, whatever we are seeing right now, they are running inside the containers. Whatever the applications that you see, all the applications are running inside the containers. They are independent of the platform. Containers are independent of the platform. What is the meaning of that? For example, if I want to run an application inside a server. So let us supposing this is the server which I am using and it's a Linux machine. Now majority number of the applications will be running inside the Linux servers only. So now inside this Linux operating system, I want to run an application. Let us consider it's a Java application. Okay, so Java app version 1, which is running on the Java 17. Okay, so this is the application which we have created. And for this application, there are quite a few different dependencies are there. Dependencies are different. Now in the same operating system, if you want to run another Java application, Java app or else Java app 2 version 1, which is running on Java somewhere like I will go with Java 11, and the dependencies are totally different. Okay, so whether these two will run in a single operating system, single server, whether these two applications will run in a single server, is it going to be happen? Yes, Java developers, do you understand the question here?
No, not possible.
There is quite a few dependency differences are there, and as well as these are the two different versions. There might be, I'm not saying that there will be a compatibility issue. Of course, there might be a compatibility issue. So that what I have to do, I need to create one more server. So I need to create one more server, and inside the server, I have to run this application. So if I want to create another server, creation of server is not very easy. So if you want to have a physical server, so then you need to get the approval from the finance team, and you have to go to the OEM or original equipment manufacturer. If you want to purchase a Dell server, you have to go to the Dell manufacturer, you have to purchase the server, you have to install the operating system inside the server, and then you have to run the application, which is going to take another 3 months of time minimum.
And it's expensive also.
And it is expensive.
Yeah.
So these are all the headaches that we are having in the previous era. So before DevOps era, we used to have this headaches. So to overcome this problem, what IT industry has introduced here is, so if you purchase a server, so whenever the users are willing to purchase the server, so they will be going with a high configuration like 16 CPU, 256 GB of RAM, or 512 GB of RAM, or 1 TB of RAM. They will be going for that. So why you need to run a single application? So why can't we divide this server into logical servers? For example, let me show you something. So if you see here, this is the virtual machines which I have created. So here you can see this is the VMware. Okay. So this server, whatever the server that I am running right now, this server is having 32 GB of RAM and 8 CPUs are there. Okay, to run this virtualization. So what IT industry has thought, why I need to run the multiple, why I need to purchase the multiple servers. If I purchase a very big physical server, which is having the high configuration like 16 CPU, 512 GB of RAM or 1 TB of RAM, that server I can divide it into small pieces. For example, if you are having a hard disk, so for C drive, are you going to purchase different hard disks for different storage storage purpose? For example, If you want to install the operating system, you will purchase a hard drive, HDD, for only installing the operating system, which is of size 250 GB. You have the office work. For office work, another HDD hard disk for office work, which is of some 500 GB. And for your personal purpose, for storing your personal photos and everything, are you going to purchase a separate hard disk for your personal storage, like again somewhere like 250 GB? So total 1 TB of hard disk is required. But are you going to purchase 3 different hard disks for 3 different purposes? No. In a computer, you will be having a single hard disk, which is of size 1 TB, and this 1 TB hard disk is logically divided into partitions. Like for C drive, I will provide 250 GB of space. For D drive, that is for office work, I will provide 500 GB of hard drive. And for E drive, that is for my personal storage, I will be providing 250 GB of hard drive. So whenever we are using the single hard disk and dividing that single hard disk logically into multiple storage components. So if you see in my computer also, I am having C drive, D drive, and E drive. So the same 1 TB of hard disk is divided into 3 different partitions. So in the same manner, here also, when we purchase a huge server, very big server, this server can be divided into small logical servers. So if you can see here, whatever the server is there right now, how we are dividing that with the help of the virtualization software. So here, this physical server, on the physical server, we are going to install the virtualization software. So what is this virtualization software? That is VMware ESXi, VMware ESXi, or else we can use hypervisor, Hyper-V in the Windows component, or Citrix. Okay, Citrix Gen servers. Amazon will have its own virtualization component. So these are the virtualization tools that we are going to use. So in my computer also, in my server, this is the server which I am using right now, which is having 32 GB of RAM that is allocated for this server. And now what I am doing, I am converting this server into small servers. Okay, so if you see the logical servers, I'm converting that server into logical servers. So what is the IP address of that server? 192.168.0.200. Here you can see what is the IP address of that server, 192.168.0.200. I'm accessing this server with the help of a web browser, and I'm creating the multiple virtual machines over here. Here you can see we have the test virtual machine, application virtual machine, node 1, node 2. This is the Kubernetes virtual machines. These are all the Kubernetes virtual machines. So which means that whatever the physical server is there, this physical server is now converted into small virtual machines or logical virtual machines. So here we are having the hardware. On top of the hardware, what I am doing, I am directly installing the virtualization software. Okay. Hardware, and here we are using the virtualization software. On top of this virtualization software, what I am doing, I am creating the virtual machines. So this is the VM1, and then we are creating one more virtual machine. Okay, so this is my VM2, and then VM2, and then if you want, you can create one more virtual machine also. So now these virtual machines will get the resources from the physical server, from the physical hardware. So with the help of VM3. Okay, so with the help of this virtualization software, so these virtual machines are going to get the resources. So if you see here, for my test virtual machine, I am having 2 CPU, 2 GB of RAM. So from where this 2 GB of RAM I am getting? From the virtual machine, 32 GB of RAM is there. No, from this 32 GB of RAM, I am getting the 2 GB of RAM for my virtual machine. And if you see this application server, 8 GB of RAM I have provided for this application server. So from where you are going to get this 8 GB? From the same, from the 32 GB, you are going to get the 8 GB. So like that, whatever the resources that are there on this particular virtualization, so every resource is going to get the, every server is going to get the resources from the physical machine. Here also the same thing will happen. So this VM1 will get the resource, CPU and memory from the hardware. VM2 is also going to get the CPU and memory from the hardware, and VM3 is also going to get the CPU and memory from the hardware. On top of that, we are going to install the operating system. Here we are going to install the operating system. So on this VM1, I installed the Ubuntu. On all the VMs, I have installed the Ubuntu operating system only. Where I can show you this is host name. Yeah, there you go. Guest OS. What is the guest OS? Ubuntu Linux. Okay. So on another operating system or also on another machine also, I install the same guest OS. That is Ubuntu operating system only. So if you want to install Windows, you can install the Windows. So now what is happening on a single server? Physically, if you see, this is a single server. On top of the single server, we are running the multiple servers with the multiple operating systems. These operating systems are called as guest operating systems. So this VM can run an application. This VM can run an application. And this VM can run another application, and this VM can run the another application. Like that, how many applications you want, you can run it. Why? Because if you see physically, if you see, all the virtual machines are located on the same hardware. But logically, if you think, these virtual machines are a separate servers. VM1, VM2, VM3, these are all the separate servers. So if you can see here, this is the test VM is there. This is a separate server. Where it is launched? It is launched on the same virtual machine or same server only. I can access this server and I can run whatever the required applications I want to run inside the server. So if you see here, it will be looking like as it is like a same server only. So this is the main component for your cloud environment also. The virtual machines, virtualization is the main turning point for your cloud environment. Every cloud computing providers or else like AWS, Azure or GCP, everyone are using the virtual machines only. For example, in AWS, we will call it as EC2 instances. EC2 instances are nothing but the virtual machines only. They are the virtual machines only. And in Azure, they are called as VMs. Directly, they are called as virtual machines only. In GCP, again, they will call it as Google instances. They are also the virtual machines only. So the virtualization has made the world turn into the complete digitalization platform. So now everyone are using, every cloud computing is using the virtualization technology to create their virtual machines, to create their EC2 instances. So these are the virtual machines. So inside the virtual machines, we can run the applications. So this is fine. This is absolutely fine for me. So what is happening? We don't need to invest huge amount of money to purchase the multiple servers to run the multiple applications. So simply we can purchase a very big server. On top of that server, what we can do? We can divide that server into the virtual machines and we can run the application on top of the virtual machine. Each virtual machine will be acting like a separate server for us. So this is called as bare metal virtualization. Bare metal virtualization or else type 1 hypervisor. Okay, so there is another type of virtualization that is called as hosted virtualization or type 2 virtualization. The entire concept is same, but only the difference here is in place of this virtualization, on top of the hardware, what you will have the operating system. Inside the operating system, we are going to install the virtualization software like VMware Workstation, KVM, kernel-based virtual machines like that. These are the applications that we are going to install on top of the operating system. For example, if I have to explain you the hosted virtualization or type 2 virtualization. So if you see here, this is my computer. Inside my computer, I am running the VMware Workstation. I installed an operating system, the Windows operating system. So inside the Windows operating system, I have installed the VMware Workstation. So on top of the VMware Workstation, I am running an VMware ESXi server. And then I can run the Windows server, Windows system, and as well as Windows 10 system. So what is happening here? What is changed? So in the previous example, In the previous example, we don't have the host operating system. This bare metal hypervisor or else type 1 hypervisor, we don't have the hosted operating system. But when you come to the second type of virtualization, that is hosted virtualization, here we are having the operating system, host operating system. On top of that host operating system, we are having the virtualization component. Either it might be VMware workstation or else it might be KVM, like that. So this is called as type 2 virtualization. Right now, whatever I am showing you on my computer, that's a type 2 virtualization. Inside that, again, I am able to show you the type 1 virtualization also. So consider this as an server. So this server is having 32 GB of RAM. On top of that, what we can do, we can run the VMware ESXi. On top of that, we can run the virtual machines. So this is fine. So whatever you have seen up to now, it is fine. The virtualization is very, very helpful for you to run the multiple applications inside a single server. Up to here, it is clear. Any questions now?
Yes, so we are going to use AWS going forward.
Yeah, AWS will be used.
Okay.
No, I'm talking about virtualization component. Any questions in the virtualization component? Any confusions here? Do you understand this topic?
ఇది డాకర్ కి సంబంధించిందా మీరు ఇప్పుడు చెప్పింది? ఇప్పుడు డాకర్ కంటైనర్ లో కూడా సేమ్ ఇదే విధంగా ఉంటుంది కదా. ఈ బేర్ మెటల్ కి హోస్ట్ కి సంబంధం ఏంది?
కాదండి,
హలో,
ఇది హార్డ్వేర్ వర్చువలైజేషన్.
అవునండి, ఇప్పుడు డాకర్ లో కూడా సేమ్ అదే విధంగా ఉంటుంది కదా.
కాదు, అది సాఫ్ట్వేర్ వర్చువలైజేషన్. వస్తాను.
హోస్టెడ్ అనేది
హోస్టెడ్ వర్చువలైజేషన్. గోన్ ఈ
రెండింటికి డిఫరెన్స్ ఏంటి అసలు అర్థం కాలే నాకు. ఈ బేర్ మెటల్ కి దీనికి రెండు డయాగ్రామ్ నోట్ చేశారు. కింద ఓఎస్ అని రాశారు, పైన మళ్ళీ ఇంకో ఓఎస్ రాస్తున్నారు. అసలు అర్థం కాల అది. ఇప్పుడు ఇక్కడ అంటే హార్డ్వేర్ ఉంది, హార్డ్వేర్ పైన మళ్ళీ ఇప్పుడు అక్కడ వర్చువలైజేషన్ అంటే ఏదో ఇన్స్టాల్ చేస్తానని చెప్పినారు, విఎంఓ ఏదో చెప్పినారు. దానిపైన దాన్ని ఒక ఇండివిజువల్ గా డివైడ్ చేసుకున్నాం, మళ్ళీ దాంట్లో ఓఎస్ ఇన్స్టాల్ చేశారు, దాని లోపల అప్లికేషన్ రన్ చేస్తున్నారు. బేర్ మెటల్ అర్థమైంది. మళ్ళీ ఇది
బేసికల్ గా ఇది వర్చువలైజేషన్ కాన్సెప్ట్ అండి. అంటే సార్ చెప్పింది ఏంటంటే ఒక ఫిజికల్ డివైస్ ఉంది కదా.
ఒక నిమిషం గివ్ మీ సెకండ్. See, when we are working with the hosted virtualization, on top of the hardware, we are going to install the operating system.
ల్యాప్టాప్ ఉంది కదండి, ఒక నిమిషం.
మీరు అడిగిన క్వశ్చన్ కి ఆన్సర్ చెప్తున్నాను, కొంచెం వింటే క్లారిటీ వస్తుంది. లేకపోతే మీరు ఆ కన్ఫ్యూజన్ స్టేట్ లోనే ఉంటారు. వినండి ఫస్ట్ చెప్పాను. సో మీకు తెలుగులో చెప్తున్నాను చూడండి. మీకు హార్డ్వేర్ ఉంటుంది. ఫస్ట్ బేర్ మెటల్ లో హార్డ్వేర్ ఉంటుంది. హార్డ్వేర్ అంటే ఏంటి? మీ ల్యాప్టాప్ ఉంది. ల్యాప్టాప్ లో ఏ విధమైన ఫస్ట్ వినండి. మీ ల్యాప్టాప్ లో సిపియు హార్డ్వేర్, మీ ల్యాప్టాప్ లోపల సిపియు హార్డ్వేర్ ఉంటుంది. సిపియు హార్డ్వేర్ లైక్ ర్యామ్, స్టోరేజ్ అంతా ఉంటుంది. దానిపైన మీరు ఏం చేస్తారు? ఆపరేటింగ్ సిస్టమ్ ఏది ఇన్స్టాల్ చేయరు. డైరెక్ట్గా వర్చువలైజేషన్ కాంపోనెంట్ని ఇన్స్టాల్ చేశారు అనుకుందాం. ఓకే, సో ఆ వర్చువలైజేషన్ కాంపోనెంట్ యూస్ చేసుకొని మీరు సపరేట్ విఎమ్స్ కనుక క్రియేట్ చేస్తే అది బేర్ మెటల్ వర్చువలైజేషన్. ఇది క్లియరా?
క్లియర్ అండి. అంటే ఓఎస్ లాగా వర్చువలైజేషన్ అనేది ఒకటి ఉంటుంది, దాన్ని ఇన్స్టాల్ చేస్తాం అంటారు డైరెక్ట్ గా.
అవును. ఓకే, సో అది బేర్ మెటల్. అదే హోస్టెడ్కి వస్తే మీకు హార్డ్వేర్ ఉంటుంది, అంటే మీ ల్యాప్టాప్ ఉంటుంది. ల్యాప్టాప్ లోపల మీరు విండోస్ 11 కానీ ఏదో ఒక ఆపరేటింగ్ సిస్టమ్ ఇన్స్టాల్ చేస్తారు. ఓకే, ఇన్స్టాల్ చేసి దానిపైన మీరు వర్చువలైజేషన్ కాంపోనెంట్ యూస్ చేసుకుంటే దాన్ని మళ్ళీ ఏం చేస్తారు? ఆ వర్చువలైజేషన్ కాంపోనెంట్ యూస్ చేసుకొని మీరు సపరేట్ విఎమ్స్ని క్రియేట్ చేస్తారు. సో ఇక్కడ మీకు ఒక హోస్ట్ ఆపరేటింగ్ సిస్టమ్ అనేది ఉంది. ఓకే, హార్డ్వేర్ పైన మీకు ఒక హోస్ట్ ఆపరేటింగ్ సిస్టమ్ ఉంది. ఇక్కడ బేర్ మెటల్లో మీకు ఆపరేటింగ్ సిస్టమ్ ఏది లేదు, కానీ ఇక్కడికి వచ్చేసరికి మీకు ఉంది. సో దీనివల్ల మీకు ఏమవుతుందంటే బేర్ మెటల్ ఇస్ ఏ లైట్ వెయిటెడ్ కాంపోనెంట్. అదే మీరు హోస్టెడ్కి వచ్చేసరికి మీకు ఏమవుతుంది? ఆపరేటింగ్ సిస్టమ్ ఉండడం వల్ల అది క్లయింట్ సైడ్ ఎక్కువగా యూస్ చేస్తారు. మీకు వెన్ యూ గో ఇన్ టు ద అమెజాన్ ఆర్ ఆల్సో వెన్ యూ గో ఇన్ టు ద అజూర్ ఆర్ జీసీపీ, any industry, any IT industry, if they want to run the virtual machines, they will be using the bare metal virtualization only rather than going with the hosted. Hosted is not used anywhere, but this is also a type is available. So that's why I have explained you about the type 2 hypervisor or hosted hypervisor. Is it clear?
అదే క్లియర్ గానే ఉంది. ఇప్పుడు ఈ హోస్టెడ్ లో ఇప్పుడు ఓఎస్ ఇన్స్టాల్ చేసి ఇప్పుడు ఈ రెండింటి డిఫరెన్స్ ఏంటి? మెయిన్ ఇప్పుడు ఏంటంటే ఇక్కడ ఓఎస్ లేదు, ఇక్కడ ఓఎస్ ఉంది.
అంతే.
ఇప్పుడు సర్వర్ కాస్ట్ అవుతుందా లేకపోతే ఏం కాస్ట్? ఎందుకు అసలు అది ఇన్వెంట్ చేశారు? ఇప్పుడు దీంట్లో ఏమైనా డ్రాబ్యాక్ ఉంటేనే ఇది వస్తుంది కదా, అలా గడుగుతున్నాను నేను.
దీనిలో
డిఫరెన్స్
ఏది డ్రాబ్యాక్ లేదండి. బేర్ మెటల్ లో డ్రాబ్యాక్ ఏమి లేదు. అందుకే కదా చెప్పింది మీకు, అమెజాన్ కానీ అజూర్ కానీ ఏ కంపెనీ అయినా సరే బేర్ మెటలే యూజ్ చేస్తారు. క్లయింట్ సైడ్ మీరు యూజ్ చేసుకోవాలి అనుకుంటే, మీ క్లయింట్ కంప్యూటర్ ఉంది, క్లయింట్ కంప్యూటర్ లోపల మీరు వర్చువలైజేషన్ యూజ్ చేసుకోవాలి అనుకుంటే మీరు హోస్టెడ్ యూజ్ చేస్తారు. అదర్వైజ్ దెర్ ఈస్ నో నీడ్ ఆఫ్ యూజింగ్ ద హోస్టెడ్. ఇది అసలు అవసరమే లేదు. ఓకే,
అప్పుడు ఇవన్నీ బాగున్నప్పుడు ఇది ఎందుకు వచ్చింది సార్ అని అడుగుతున్నాను సార్. ఇప్పుడు కరెక్ట్ మీరు చెప్పిన నాకు
నేను అదే
అర్థమైంది.
చెప్తున్నానండి, హోస్టెడ్ అనేది అవసరం లేదు. కానీ మీ
అవసరమైంది.
కంప్యూటర్ లోపల
సారీ చైతన్య గారు, ఐ జస్ట్ వాంటెడ్ టు హెచ్కే గారు దట్ ఎందుకు అంటే, ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ సార్ చెప్పినట్టు ఫస్ట్ బేర్ మెటల్లో మీకు ఫస్ట్ హార్డ్వేర్ తర్వాత వర్చువలైజేషన్ వేసి ఆ తర్వాత దాంట్లో VMs వస్తున్నాయి కదా.
అవును,
అది
కరెక్ట్ అండి.
రెగ్యులర్ గా ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ మీరు స్టూడెంట్స్ సో మెనీ ప్రాక్టీస్ చేసుకోవాలి. అలాంటప్పుడు ఆ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ సెటప్ చేయాలంటే మీకు అది కష్టం
కుదరదు
అవుతుంది.
కదా.
సెకండ్ వేలో అయితే మీరు ల్యాప్టాప్ లోనే VMware వేసేసుకొని మల్టిపుల్ వేసేసుకోవచ్చు. సెకండ్ టైప్ ఈజీ, సో మెనీ పీపుల్ కి అప్రోచబుల్, ఇది టెస్టింగ్ చేసుకోవటానికి ఈజీ అవుతుంది, వర్చువలైజేషన్ ని క్రియేట్ చేసుకోవటానికి.
ఓకే
ఓకే,
సారీ చైతన్య గారు.
నో ప్రాబ్లం అండి, దట్స్ ఫైన్.
కంపెనీలో అయితే ఇది వాడతావా?
కంపెనీలో అయితే బేర్ మెటల్ యూజ్ చేస్తారండి. మీరు క్లయింట్ సైడ్ యూజ్ చేసుకోవాలంటే హోస్టెడ్ యూజ్ చేసుకుంటారు. ఓకే, క్లియరా?
ఇప్పుడు దీనికి కంటైనర్ కి సంబంధం ఏంటి సార్? అప్పుడు కంటైనర్ లో కూడా సేమ్ ఇదే విధంగా ఉంటుంది కదా.
ఫస్ట్ వినండి, ఇంకా మనం కంప్లీట్ గా కంటైనర్ దగ్గరికి వెళ్ళలేదు.
ఓకే,
ఫస్ట్ వర్చువలైజేషన్ లోనే ఉన్నాం. ఫస్ట్ ఇది కంప్లీట్ కావాలి. సో దిస్ ఇస్ అబౌట్ యువర్ హోస్టెడ్ వర్చువలైజేషన్. Yep.
Sorry
Go
to
on.
say, if you ask it out in English, then that will also help us to understand.
No, he is asking that what is the main difference between the bare metal and the hosted virtualization. That's it. Why we are going to use the bare metal and why we are going to use the hosted virtualization. Bare metal virtualizations are
I just trying to say, like, their doubts may be helpful for us if you means that.
I am trying to explain you in the English only. Okay, don't worry. So this is the main difference between the bare metal and the hosted virtualization. Now, what is the main problem here? So the main problem with the bare metal virtualization or hosted virtualization is that, so this servers or else whatever the virtual machines are there, these virtual machines are running in the development environment. So now what I want to do, I want to move this entire code or else entire virtual machine from the development environment to the production environment. So here you will be having the production environment where you have to run the application. So then what I have to do, I need to pack the entire virtual machine. I have to pack the entire virtual machine over here, and I have to convert that virtual machine into a package. One second. So I have to convert this entire virtual machine into a package, and this package I need to move it into my production environment. So just to think of this. So it is like, for example, if you want to go for a trip, okay, if you want to go for a trip, then what you have to do, in your home, you will have your computer, you will have the AC, you will have your bed, you will have your cupboard, everything is there. So if you want to go for a trip, is it required to pack everything, whatever there in your home and go to the trip, or else are you going to pack only the required things, like whatever the clothes or else whatever the requirements are there only for the trip, you are going to pack those things, or else are you going to pack the entire room of you and transfer it to the another location? How it will be happening? Are you able to understand my question? Do I need to repeat it again? Okay, here I'm asking you, you want to travel. Okay, in your room you are having all the related equipment are there, like you have your desktop, you have your bed, you have your cupboard, AC, everything is there. Are you going to pack everything to travel from your home to the destination, or are you going to pack the requirements only?
We'll
Only
pack the
whatever.
requirements only.
Only whatever you require that you are going to pack, right? But in the virtualization, what is going to happen? So if you want to shift the server from development environment to the production environment, I have to pack each and everything. I have to pack the operating system. What is the necessity of the operating system? In operating system, we will be having the unwanted application. For example, in this operating system, I may be installing the Docker, or else I may be installing another software. Just forget about the Docker. I may be installing an unwanted software. So if I convert this entire virtual machine into a package where I am going to get all the unwanted software also will be there. So if I move that package from one location to the another location, it's a heavy weighted package. Heavy weighted package in the sense it is going to shift everything, whatever there in the operating system, whatever the tools that are there. These tools are not required for my application to run. Okay, these are not dependencies. For example, I don't want my computer. I need to have a laptop to do my work in a destination, in another location. So I don't need to carry my entire computer. Despite of that, I can simply carry my laptop in my handbag. So in the same manner, here also what is happening, I don't want all the operating system, all the applications, all the binaries, libraries are not required. Only the libraries and binaries which are required for me to run the application, that is required. But now what is happening, despite of going ahead, okay, in the virtualization, we are converting the not only the application, but also the unwanted software. For example, let me take somewhere like wget is there. Wget is an utility which is helpful for download the application. That is not required. Why? Because already application is there, it will be running. If you want any another application to download, you need to have the wget, or else nginx application is there, that is not required. But in some operating systems you might have a default nginx. So like that, which are unwanted softwares are there, these unwanted softwares are also going to be installed in the virtual machine. These are all not required. When we are moving that virtual machine from one environment, from the development environment to the production environment, or else pre-prod environment, we have to move the entire virtual machine, which will be heavy weighted. So to overcome this problem, what we are going to do here is we are going ahead with a concept of containerization. What is this containers are going to do? So in the containers, what will happen here is you will have the hardware. You will have the hardware. On top of the hardware, we are going to install the operating system. We will have the operating system. On top of the operating system, we are going to install the Docker software, the containerization software. On top of this Docker software, we are going to create the containers. We are going to create the containers. But inside this containers, we will not have the operating system. We will not have an operating system. We will have the dependencies like binaries and libraries. We will have an operating system environment. We are not going to install it. So we will have the libraries and binaries which are required for running the application. Okay, only the required components will be there inside the containers. Okay. So now you will have another question. I will point that question also. So on top of this, we can run the applications. So now the question you are going to ask me here is then how the application will be running without an operating system. So inside the containers, we are not going to use the operating system. Despite of that, we are going to use the operating system environment, and we are going to use the binaries and libraries to run the application. So here you will have the hardware. On top of that, you will have the host operating system. On top of this, we will be using the Docker. On top of this is my container 1. Container 1. Okay. And like that, you will be having container 2 and container 3 also available. So like that, you will be having so many different containers are available. On top of that, we are going to run the application. So this application will be running with all the dependencies only. Inside this container, we will not have any unwanted software. We will have only the application and dependencies. Okay, these are the things that will be there. So for that reason, the container is very, very lightweighted. So we don't have the operating system. If the operating system is not there, then how application will be running? You tell me, for example, if you want to run the Google Chrome. So if you want to run this Google Chrome, what is your requirement? The requirement is that, or else if you want to run any application in your computer, first what happens here? Can anybody tell me what is the background process to run an application? Anyone? To run an application,
operating system.
Mm-hmm.
We require an operating system.
Okay, we require an operating system. What is this operating system is going to do? So the user will request the operating system to run the application. The users will send a request to the operating system. Okay, now what operating system will do?
Schedules the, prioritize
It
the
will be
tasks.
communicated. The operating system communicate చేస్తుంది మన హార్డ్వేర్ కి మన సాఫ్ట్వేర్ కి కమ్యూనికేట్ చేస్తాం.
How operating system will communicate?
Based on the OS kernel. Based on the kernel.
Very good. In between the operating system and the hardware, there will be a component called as kernel. Kernel is very, very important component. Without the kernel, the communication between the operating system and the hardware will not happen. So kernel is for the process management, memory management, network management, disk management, everything application related, any task can be handled by the kernel. So when the operating system is given with a task, this operating system will communicate with the kernel. In the background, there will be a kernel. This is like a compiler. What is meant by compiler? Kernel is like a compiler. I am saying like this. It's not quite a, it's not kernel is not a compiler, but you can assume like a compiler also. What is meant by compiling? Compiling means converting the user understandable language into the machine language is called as compiling, right? So this kernel can be act like a compiler. So whatever the user has requested, the request will go to the kernel, and from the operating system, it will reach out to the kernel. The kernel will understand, okay, so the user want to open this application. This application requires this much amount of process. I mean, this much amount of memory, this much amount of process. So it will allocate the request to the hardware. So already in the processor, some of the processes will be happening. So then the kernel will allocate the process ID and it will try to run that application. So when it runs the application, you will get the output on your operating system. Kernel is very important. But here in the Docker, whenever you see the containers, in the containers, we don't have an operating system. I am saying that the containers will not have an operating system, but it will use the operating system environment. Try to understand, installing the operating system is different and using the operating system environment is different. So now this container will use the operating system environment and run the application. To run the application, what is required? This application has to communicate with the hardware to allocate the resources for the application to run. So if the application has to run, it should have certain hardware. Then what will happen? The container, the application will communicate with the container, and container will communicate the same with the Docker, and Docker will communicate with the host OS. Host OS, either it might be Windows or Linux. And this host OS will communicate with the hardware. So now the hardware will allocate the resources for my container. So if you see here, we are not using any separate operating system to run the application. So like in virtual machines, we are creating a separate hardware. On top of that, we are running the operating system. On top of that, we are running the application. So here in the Docker, we don't have these two layers. These two layers are not there. They are combinedly called as a container, single container. And here we will not have the virtualization software. We will have the Docker. So this is called as software virtualization. In the software virtualization, you will have the software installed. On top of that, we can run the containers, and these containers can run the application and its dependencies only. Apart from the dependencies, it is not going to run any another separate software. So the application will request the Docker to provide the hardware, and Docker will communicate with your host operating system, and the host operating system will communicate with the hardware to provide the required resources to my application. So now if I want to transfer, or else if I want to shift my application from the production development environment to the production environment, this time I don't need to I don't need to transfer the entire operating system unwanted packages. Only the container and the application will be transferred to the production environment, so that the weight of that application, weight in the sense the size of the application, will be very minimal. If you see the Docker container images, it will be somewhere like 500 MB only, 500 MB or more than, like it will be more than 500 MB or less than 1 GB. In between that only you will have the images. So these images are helpful for you to run this containers. How we are going to create the image, that we will see in the upcoming sessions. But as of now, if you see from the past, in 2010 we are having the Linux, later we got the virtualization, now we are using the Docker containers. So inside this containers, what we can do, we can run the application. So these containers can be easily migrated from one environment to the another environment because of the less weight of that particular application. So this is called as your Docker. So now if you see here, I just explained you all the tools. What are the tools that I have explained you here is? So what is Terraform? Coming back to the point, Terraform is a tool which will be helpful for you to create the infrastructure, and Ansible is a tool for the configuration management. Docker, just now we have discussed about the Docker for running the application, running the lightweighted applications. Okay, so now what is meant by Kubernetes? Now before I go into the Kubernetes, do you understand what is this entire topic is all about? Have you got an idea about the Docker? Any questions here? Any questions from your end?
So Chaitanya, what I understood, like Docker will provide the isolated environment to the application, right? So it will provide the like the hosted OS and hardware, whatever the resources required to run the one application, right?
Yes.
Oh.
One container doesn't have any connection with the other. See, it's like in a single software, you are running the multiple virtual machines. Just like in your company environment, how you are having the different computers for different employees. In the same manner, there will be different containers to run the different applications. Okay. They are isolated in nature. What is this isolation that we will see in the Docker concept? I will clearly explain you about that. Okay, but what is my requirement? What I am trying to explain you here is, whenever we are running a container, or else whenever we are running an application, we will be using a tool called as Docker to run the application lightweightedly. Okay, so that is the main point which I want to explain you. Why we need to have the lightweighted application? So that if you want to run the application in a different environments, it is very easily portable, and that can be managed simply, easily it can be managed. Who will manage that containers? These containers are managed by the Kubernetes. Okay, the managed by, or else containers are managed by the Kubernetes. What is this containers management? Everything you will understand slowly. Okay.
One quick question. So for this, right? So suppose I have built an application and deployed it in the dev environment.
Okay.
So if I want to promote that to EAT or staging environment or production, so I have to build a different image, or
no need. If you have created a container, one second, you have created a container in the development environment, and inside that container the application is running, and in the development environment the testing people are going to test the application, right?
Correct.
So once the application testing is done, then you can convert this container into the image format. Okay, so how you can convert that, we will see in the Docker. Docker commit is one of the command available, but that is not a right way to do that. Anyways, I will tell you both the things, how you can convert a container into an image, or else how you can directly create an image using the Docker file. Both the things I will tell you. But as of now, what you can do, you can convert that container into an image and you can transfer that image from the development environment to the pre-prod or production environment. Okay, and there you can run the container with the same image.
So I don't need different images for different environments. Is that right?
No need. The same image is more than enough.
The only thing is I had to add the mappings and all required mappings and deploy the same thing everywhere. Okay.
Yes, you need to have a proper mapping, proper IP address mappings and everything. Why? Because in development environment, you will have a different IP mapping.
Correct.
And when you go to the production, there will be different IP mappings will be there. There you have to manage it. Apart from that, everything is fine. Okay.
But I don't ask developer to build a new image from Docker file. So
no need.
Same thing I will use. Okay.
Okay, you can use the same image.
Same. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Right.
One doubt. As you have mentioned, like the sizes would be probably from 500 MB to 1 GB, very lightweighted. What happens in case, I mean, usually application will contact with the databases where we have huge data is there. So it can be huge terabytes and more, right?
Yeah.
So how it is like?
It is not a recommended practice to have the databases inside the containers.
Okay.
First thing, you can have your databases directly on the servers. Why we don't need to have the database inside the containers means containers are stateless. Containers are stateless. What is meant by stateless means when the containers are running, suddenly because of heavy resource consumption or else heavy load on the containers might get shut down, or else sometimes they will be terminated. If the containers are running in the applications or else the websites, web applications or else the backend application, there won't be any problem. We can recreate the containers immediately. But the databases, there will be a problem. No? So if the database is entirely deleted, then that will not work. So for me, what I have to do, I need to create a separate server for the databases. And we have to map that database to my container. How we are going to do, I will tell you. But as of now, databases are not recommended to have inside the container. Even though if you want to run the databases inside the container, you can run it, but it is not a recommended process. So now your question is saying that, so the databases will be having huge amount of data. So what is your question? Can you repeat the question once again?
Yeah. If application is communicating with databases where we have huge number of GBs of data will be stored. So application is lightweighted. What about database also? It's an application only, right? So how it is going to be
different
managed?
entities, right? Those are not. Those are two different entities. They're not same.
So application is in the backend. Application is a backend process. So that will be connected to the database. So if you see the web 3-tier architecture, it will be looking like there will be a front-end application like web server will be there. On back of that, to support this web server, to collect the information and to do the functionalities, you will be having the backend application process. This backend will be connected to the database. So there is no, the application will be connected to the database. Apart from that, the application will have its own database. It is not going to happen, no. The application itself will not run any database. Application will be connected to the database. This is the web server, this is the app server, and this is my database server. So when we are transferring, when the user is requesting to log in, for example, if you are logging into the e-commerce website, so when the user is giving the credentials are transferred to the application. These two can be running inside the container. When the credentials are sent to the application will communicate with the database. So inside the database, the user credentials will be there. So it will check the credentials and allow the login. So here the database should not be inside the container. If you want the database should be inside the container, then there will be a problem. As you have discussed that it is difficult to transfer the entire data. So here the first thing is that the database itself will not be inside the container. That is what I said you. It is not a recommended process to have the databases inside the container. If you have the databases inside the container, then to transfer that container, it will be very, very problematic. Okay. Do you got your answer for your question?
Yeah, in that case, like migrations also only if I mean it's an independent, like right? Like Docker image, we are exporting only application, and then subsequent configurations also need to be taken care with the database.
That we will take care with the databases.
Okay.
Okay. Right. So this is about the concept of your Docker. Actually, we have shifted all the way from the CD. So this is about the continuous deployment or continuous delivery. So in the continuous delivery, we are going to use this Terraform, Ansible, Docker, and Kubernetes, where we are using the Terraform. So up to now, whatever we have discussed, that is about completely about the Docker. So now what we have to discuss, we need to discuss about the Kubernetes, we need to discuss about the Terraform, and we need to discuss about the Ansible. That we will see in the next session. So what is the main purpose of the Terraform? Terraform is for infrastructure as a code. For example, if I want to create an EC2 instance in the AWS environment, how I can create the EC2 instance inside the AWS environment means, so hold on. One second. So if I want to create the EC2 instance, simply you can go to the instances. Manually, I'm creating it. Launch instance, I have to provide the name. I have to select the AMI. This AMI is different. Again, don't get confused. I need to select the instance type, key pair, and then I have to select the network settings, VPC, subnets, and everything. So these are all should be created manually. So if you don't know the Terraform, we have to do everything manually. But Terraform is an infrastructure as a code. So you can create the entire infrastructure with the help of a code. And here we will be using the HCL language, HashiCorp language. What is this HashiCorp language and how we are going to create the infrastructure, that we will see when we go into the Terraform. But Terraform is a tool which will be helpful for you to create the infrastructure. So now what is this Ansible? Ansible is a configuration management tool. Configuration management tool in the sense, for example, you have some 10 servers are there. Inside the 10 servers, you want to install Java, or else you want to install Docker. You want to install what else? Maven. And then you want to install a few more softwares. Okay. For example, Nginx also you need to install. So in each server, how much time it is going to take for installing all these tools? I gave you a minimum tools just for your understanding. So how much time it is going to take to install all the softwares inside the server? Inside all the servers, I want to install it. Just an assumption.
30-40 minutes, more than that.
For Java, it will
manually log into,
we need to manually log into each and every server. So let us see the step by step. First of all, we need to log into the server. Later, what we have to do, we need to update the repositories. After updating the repositories, what we have to do, we have to install all the applications. So for installing Java, it might take some 5 minutes. For installing Docker, it might take another 2 to 3 minutes. For Maven, it is going to take another 2 minutes. And for Nginx, it is going to take another 2 minutes. So total, how much time for single server to log in, to update the repository, installing the application, and to run it, it is going to take some 12 minutes of time in single server. If you are having 10 servers, then how much time? Same process. You are going to, somewhere like 15 minutes if you take to install all these applications, we are taking 15 minutes per server. So there are 10 servers, 150 minutes, in the sense 2.5 hours is wasted. 2.5 hours is wasted. But if I use the Ansible, in Ansible, we are going to have an Ansible controller. Ansible controller, which is going to have the access for all the servers. If the 10 servers are there, all the 10 servers are given inside the Ansible controller. And this Ansible controller is going to install the applications within minutes in all the servers. Parallelly, it is going to install it with the help of a concept called as playbooks. We'll see about this, but it's a configuration. Simply, if I have to tell you, Ansible is a configuration management tool, which can be easily helpful for the user to configure any application inside the multiple servers. Okay, this is not only the case with the Ansible, we can create the servers also. So in interview, so I will try to help some of the students. Whenever I'm trying to help the students in interview, I will get a question: what is the difference between Terraform and the Ansible? Why can't I use the Ansible as an infrastructure? Both are different. So Terraform is an infrastructure as a code, which will be helpful for you to develop the infrastructure. Ansible is a tool which will be helpful for you to create and run the application inside the infrastructure. So it is not a recommended thing to create the infrastructure with Ansible. I am not saying that we cannot create the infrastructure with Ansible. We can create, but for that there is a separate tool is available, Terraform. Then again, why we need to use the Ansible? So I will say that Ansible is recommended, but there might be a few bugs which are going to be appeared when we use the Ansible as an infrastructure as a code. So I won't recommend. Terraform is a very helpful tool for me to run the application. I mean, to create the infrastructure, and inside the infrastructure, I will run the applications with the help of Ansible. So simple answer I will give. But if you want in detail, I will tell you when we go into the Ansible also. So that is about the Terraform and Ansible. And Kubernetes. What is this Kubernetes? Now here we discussed about the containers. Containers are helpful for you to run the applications. Okay, now the containers are running. Suddenly the container got terminated. As I already said you, containers are in stateless nature. Because of heavy weight, the container got terminated. So now as of now, we are in the demo environment. We can run some 2 or 3 containers at a time. But if you go to the production environment, some hundreds of containers will be running for an multiple applications. Now then how you are going to manage, or else how you are going to identify that this particular container got stopped? It is very difficult for you, no? So if you are having some 3 students in your session, it is very helpful for me, or else very easy for me to find out who is there and who is not there. If there are some 100 students are attending to my session, suddenly quite a few, like 2 to 3 people has went out, then how I can know that these people are not there? So it is something difficult for me. In the same manner, for example, some 100 containers are running inside the Docker, or else 100 containers are running. Suddenly some containers stopped working. So how I can know that these containers are stopped working? Who will manage that? So to manage those containers, or else if the containers are using so much amount of resources, how we can manage those containers, how we can maintain the containers? Everything can be happened with the help of a single tool called as Kubernetes. With the help of Kubernetes, we can manage the containers. How we are going to manage it? That we will see in the upcoming sessions. In Kubernetes, if I have to describe, it will take some 20 hours of sessions to complete the Kubernetes itself. It will take some 20 hours of sessions. We are going deep dive. So let us go into the syllabus. I won't take much time. Job supply we will see in the next session. And pre-requirements is AWS knowledge is required. So anyways, it is going to 1.5 hours. I am going to wind up the session right here. And the syllabus is, in Terraform, we will be discussing about Terraform basics. And then we will be discussing about functions, Terraform functions, Terraform modules. Very important concept is Terraform workspaces, and then Terraform enterprise.
Sir, whatever the content mentioned in your content in the website, that is you are going to cover?
Yeah, everything will be covered, whatever that I have mentioned in the website. Okay. And then Ansible. In Ansible, we'll be discussing about Ansible introduction, Ansible basics. And then we will be discussing about writing the playbooks. Ad hoc commands, Ansible ad hoc commands will be there that we will be discussing, and Ansible playbooks we will be discussing. And then we will be discussing about Ansible Vault. Then we will be going into the Docker. In Docker, we will be discussing about so many things. Docker basics. Okay, Docker basics and Docker image creations, and then Docker networking, and Docker storage, and Docker Compose and Docker Swarm. These are all the things that we are going to cover. And when you go to the Kubernetes, very important topic. Nowadays, everyone are requesting Kubernetes basics. And then we will be discussing about Kubernetes architecture and Kubernetes creation, cluster creation. Here, one thing that I want to tell you here is we are not going to create the cluster in the development mode. So like what I can say, we will be working with the Kubernetes cluster in the production environment, in the production grade. So like with the help of kubeadm or else KOps, Rancher. So these are all the tools. With the help of these tools, we are going to create the Kubernetes, not with the Minikube. So everyone will tell you it will be very, very easy for you to run the Kubernetes cluster with the help of Minikube. If you want to work with the Minikube, you can work it out, but I don't recommend you to run with the Minikube. So we will be discussing everything in the production grade, that is with the help of kubeadm, KOps, and Rancher. And then we will be discussing about Kubernetes workload components and Kubernetes services. That is workload components in the sense we will be discussing about pods, replica sets, deployments, stateful sets, daemon sets. These are all the things that we are going to cover. Services in the sense we will be covering the cluster IP, load balancer, node port, external name, and headless services. And then we will be discussing about ingress, KATS, what I can say, probes, sidecar containers, sidecar, and then we will be discussing about KATS namespaces and resource quotas, KATS RBAC, KATS storage, KATS what I can say, rules, network rules, and then HPA, VPA configuration, horizontal pod autoscaler, vertical pod autoscaler, and then we will be discussing about monitoring tools like Prometheus and Grafana. ELK stack is going to be implemented.
Is the relic is the same like Prometheus and Grafana?
Yeah, Prometheus and Grafana we are going to use in the monitoring.
So relic tool is the same?
Same. It's like something. It's like observability. It is not monitoring. Relic is observability. Monitoring is different. Okay.
Splunk is also a part of this.
No. No.
మానిటరింగ్ అంటే ఈఎల్కే చెప్తారా ఇప్పుడు మీరు?
ELK అనేది log. ELK is for log.
లాగిస్టాష్
Monitoring is different.
అలాగా ఉంది కదా.
Monitoring is different and log collection is different. Monitoring, I will go with the Prometheus and Grafana. For log monitoring, log collection, I will go with the ELK stack. And
Splunk is also do the same thing, right, Chaitanya?
Sorry?
సర్వీస్ మెష్ కూడా చెప్తారా?
ఒకసారి అడగండి ప్లీజ్. Yeah, go on. Splunk is also the same. Yeah.
Same. Okay.
సర్వీస్ మెష్ కూడా చెప్తారా? సర్వీస్ మెష్
నేను ఇంకా కంప్లీట్ చేయలేదండి సిలబస్. వన్స్ సిలబస్ కంప్లీట్ అయిన తర్వాత అడగండి. STO. And then we will be discussing about Argo CD. This is the GitOps. With this, we will complete the Kubernetes. Okay. And then we will go with the Jenkins.
Security of KATS, sir.
Here you can see that. Networking rules, RBAC, these are all comes under the security only. Okay.
సర్వీస్ అకౌంట్స్ దాంట్లోనే వస్తాయి కదా కుబర్నెటిస్ లోనే. సర్వీస్ అకౌంట్స్ కూడా RBAC లో వస్తుంది.
RBAC లోనే వస్తాయండి. Jenkins. Sorry?
RBAC సర్వీస్ అకౌంట్స్ డిఫరెంట్ టాపిక్స్ కదా.
మీకు AWS లో రోల్స్ తెలుసా? Do you know the AWS roles?
తెలుసండి.
One second. Do you know the users?
అవునండి.
Whether they are going to come in a different thing or else they are going to come under the IAM. RBAC is also the same. RBAC is for user creation and as well as the service account. Service accounts are like roles. Okay.
Okay.
So Jenkins basics and Jenkins high availability. Jenkins, what I can say, Jenkins high availability. 1 second, I will come back to you. Jenkins pipelines. So here we will be discussing about the scripted pipeline and declarative pipeline. So basically we will be discussing about declarative pipelines. Okay. Declarative pipelines, and we will be discussing about so many things like a blue ocean and creating the Jenkins file. We will be completely discussing about the Jenkins file. These are the things that we are going to cover in the Jenkins. So this is the entire syllabus of your concepts. So this will be covered as per the given thing. We can cover in the 30 days. I'm not saying 30 hours, 30 days. In between, I can take, so some Saturday and Sunday, I can take 2 hours of sessions, 2.5 hours of sessions also will be there. Depending on that, we are going to cover the entire sessions. No holidays. No holidays. Okay. Saturday and Sunday also you will have the sessions. And then what else I'm missing? The session will be started at 6 p.m. in the evening and it will be continued up to 7:30. Sometimes on Saturday and Sunday it will be started in the it can be started before itself, like somewhere like 5 p.m. and it will be ended at 8 o'clock. So depending on the topic. Okay. So this is about the entire concepts, entire syllabus. Now you can go with the questions one after the other.
Yes, sir. I have a question. Like you are going to use AWS, right? So with this tool, sir, you are going to do deployment also, right? So are you going to cover like this blue-green deployment? And
that's a simple deployment. Blue-green canary deployment. These are all the small deployments. We can do that. That's not a very big deal.
Okay, and like kind of deployment of any application, like any Spring Boot or Java.
We'll see. You will see.
సార్ నాకు ఒక చిన్న డౌట్. ఇప్పుడు జెన్కిన్స్ లో ఇంకా మీరు షేర్డ్ లైబ్రరీస్, గ్రూవీ స్క్రిప్ట్స్, రెస్ట్ ఏపీఎస్ ఇస్తారా జెన్కిన్స్ లో?
REST APIs is not going to be covered, but we are going to cover the shared libraries and Groovy scripts.
అండ్ వన్ మోర్ థింగ్ అండి, ఇక్కడ మనకు జెన్కిన్స్ లో జాకో పైలట్ ఇన్స్టాల్ చేసి XML రిపోర్ట్ తీసుకునే విధంగా చెప్తారా? ఓన్లీ సోనార్ క్యూబ్ లో GUI మోడ్ లో మాత్రం చూపిస్తారా?
Sonar Cube GUI.
ఎందుకంటే రియల్ టైమ్ లో అలా చేయం కదా. సోనార్ క్యూబ్ జాకో ప్లగిన్ ఇన్స్టాల్ చేసి XML రిపోర్ట్ పంపుతాము.
Every company will not do that, right?
అది అయితే కరెక్టే. నేను జస్ట్ అడుగుతున్నా, మీరు ఓన్లీ సోనార్ క్యూబ్ లో చూపిస్తారా? అదే ఇక్కడ అడుగుతున్నా.
Here Sonar Cube is also not going to be covered. Here we are going to cover only the
no problem. ఓకే, నో ప్రాబ్లం. అండ్ ఇంకోటి వచ్చేసి కుబర్నెటిస్ లో మీరు ఇప్పుడు K8 చెప్తారా, రాన్చర్ చెప్తారా? అంటే ప్రొడక్షన్ ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్ అన్నారా, క్యూబేడింగ్ కాకుండా క్యాప్స్ చెప్తారు. ఇంకోటి EKS చెప్తారా? EKS అంటే
basic EKS కదా, మేనేజ్డ్ క్లస్టర్స్
ఇన్స్టాల్ చేసి. ఓకే,
మీరే ఆన్సర్ చెప్పండి, మీరే క్వశ్చన్ అడగండి, సరిపోతుంది.
లేదు సార్, నాకు అంటే మీరు చెప్పండి, నాకు అర్థమైపోతుంది. నేను ఆల్రెడీ ఇంత ముందు లోనే ఉన్నాను అనమాట.
On top. Okay, so you are not holding your nerve. So if you ask me a question, let me give you the answer. So if you want to ask me the question and if you want to take your answer. Okay, thank you. Right. Any another questions, guys?
And sir, recordings and notes all.
You will get the documents and recordings every day.
Okay.
Apart from that,
only ఇంకోటి అజూర్ డెవాప్స్ అని చెప్పారు. అజూర్ కూడా చెప్తారా, లేకపోతే ఓన్లీ ఇది AWS?
This is only for the tools which I have mentioned. Azure DevOps is different. That I will. I did not plan it right now, but if there is any possibility, I will let you know. Okay.
ఓకే అండి. ఇంకొక క్వశ్చన్ అండి, ఏమనుకోద్దు. ఇప్పుడు యాన్సిబుల్ గెలాక్సీ చెప్తారా, యాన్సిబుల్ ఎంటర్ప్రైజెస్ చెప్తారా?
Enterprise.
యాన్సిబుల్ ఎంటర్ప్రైజెస్ చెప్తారు.
Yeah.
And sir, like any kind of impact of AI on DevOps work culture?
Right now there is no impact. Why I'm telling you this, because majority number of the companies, when you go inside, they won't allow the AI to be working. So they are not allowing you to, so if you want to test it, you can test it with the help of AI product, but there is no impact on DevOps from the AI side. Right now, slowly they are implementing, but companies are not accepting it. So maybe in future you might have an impact. Okay.
Sir, is it? Hello.
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
able to hear.
Yeah. Is it necessary to have AWS knowledge, or any other cloud is enough, like GCP?
If you have any another cloud knowledge, also good, no problem. There is no necessity of having a single cloud knowledge. I am going to tell you on the AWS. So if you have the knowledge on GCP, what is there in AWS? We will call it as AWS VPC. In GCP also you will call it as VPC only, no? Instances will be there, Google Cloud instances, subnets, everything will be the same. Only the terms are going to be changed. Okay.
Yeah. So actually, I'm working as a GCP data engineer. So there we use for creation of tables or views on the BigQuery. Those we are using like Argo workflows, something like that. Yeah. So, but I don't have that much idea about that. So I'm attending this session.
You'll see. Slowly you will understand the things. Okay. Yeah, Shambhu Shivram. Sorry. Go on.
Yeah.
What is your question?
Okay. Seems all good. Docker Swarm, no, some industrial ways nobody is not using now. That is one thing. And is it possible to from the cluster itself we can able to do that Jenkins pipelines and all from the pod stage onwards? Is it possible to do that? And
It's
any
possible.
projects, one or two, three projects like that we
We'll
can able to
see.
do, then it is well and good for everyone.
I will try to explain you on the project level, but don't expect that project will be there. First to understand the concept. At the end of the concept, I will try to explain you on the project. Okay. See, first of all, I will tell you about the tools. Once the tool is completed, then we will go ahead into the project level. Am I clear?
Okay. So because now why no so it was not keep on subject wise you're going no? So it was when physically what we are doing there was some gap I have observed when I'm doing this and all. So
I will try to explain you. I will try to cover it
yeah,
out. Okay.
Yeah.
ఇప్పుడు ఇమేజ్ స్కానింగ్ అని చెప్తారండి.
సారీ,
ఓస్వాప్ సెక్యూరిటీ స్కానింగ్ అని చెప్తారా?
అన్ని చెప్తానండి.
ఓకే. మళ్ళీ ఇంటిగ్రేషన్ ఉన్నాయి కదా, ఇప్పుడు ఈ టూల్స్ అన్ని ఇంటిగ్రేషన్ చేసి చెప్తారా, లేకపోతే ఎలా ఇండివిజువల్ గా టూల్ చెప్పుకుంటే వెళ్ళిపోతారా?
ఇంటిగ్రేషన్ ఉంటుంది.
ఓకే, అంటే కాన్ఫిగరేషన్స్ ఉంటాయి కదా, దానికోసం అడిగానండి. ఒక్కో దానికి ఒక్కొక్క కాన్ఫిగరేషన్ ప్లగిన్స్ ఉంటాయి కదా,
అవి చూద్దాం. ఇంటిగ్రేషన్ ఉంటుంది. దేర్ విల్ బి అన్ ఇంటిగ్రేషన్. Okay.
Daily exercises ఉంటాయా, like do we have a last final project, something like that?
You have to do the practical every day.
Okay.
I won't give you the practicals, but whatever the topic that we are going to cover, that will be into the practical only. So any topic I will tell you in the practical orientation only. I won't say you in the theoretical concepts. Okay.
Yeah. High priority tools are covering. Any smoke test, these and all like security aspects. Security aspects. Is there anything we need to cover?
No. So I will try to cover the security aspects also. I will try to explain you on those things. Okay. Smoke testing, everything we will do.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Your explanation is good. Very good. Yeah.
Thanks for that. Okay. So anything else, guys? Okay then. I'm sorry. Already it has been some 15 minutes delayed. So if you are interested to join the session, you can join the session tomorrow also. Tomorrow at same time 6 o'clock, and we will be going ahead into the topic. So have a nice day, and we'll meet in the next session. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you. Bye.